Hey guys, how would y'all like to learn a website system, a hybrid website system that I've developed that has generated since the beginning of 2013 $60,455.74 in net profit. This is actual money that I brought home. If you're interested, let's take a look at this. First of all, who am I? Well, my name is Keith Baxter. You can see a picture of my family on the right. We were about to start a mud run. We actually brought my two boys in there, and it was a blast. But I'm a family man, father and husband. Probably very much like you, if you're a family man, just a normal guy. My home is in Texas, born and raised here, lived here pretty much all my life. One thing that I have done that does set me apart from a lot of people is that I've been working online for the past 15 years. By this, I mean that I have actively marketed products and services online. And in that time, I've actually learned a thing or two. Believe it or not, time does actually give some insights into things that work. And what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today are some of those things that I've discovered over really the past year or two, but really culminated from a lot of my past experience. So, why should you listen to me? I know that this is kind of a silly part of a lot of these videos, but you really do need to know that I am walking the walk and talking the talk, not just throwing out a bunch of goofy numbers and expecting you to believe me. So, here are screenshots from three of the accounts that I've received monies from this year, 2013, since January 1st. You can see one of them is $40,647.26. Another one, 13,608.36 with subscription commissions of $1,751.64. Yet another one, $4,448.48. All of these screenshots were taken this morning. We are at April 17th, 2013. I have other accounts. They are smaller commission bases. So I just left that out. So the total amount is actually more than I said on the first slide. But you know what? These are the three big ones, the three that you really need to know about. So let's talk about who should watch this video, because I truly believe that this is important. If you're frustrated with your lack of results, then this video is for you. If you jump from shiny object to shiny object and want a clear path to success, well, this video is for you too. Or if you just want a better life for you and or your family, then this video is certainly for you. So let's talk about what I've innovated and what I'm going to share a little bit with you today. I've innovated what I'm calling a hybrid website. There's really a four-pronged approach to this website, which I'm going to share with you in just a minute. You're going to understand exactly what to do in just a few moments. It takes about 1 day to build the infrastructure of the site, and then, obviously the content of the site takes a little bit longer, but 1 day to build the infrastructure. And once you build that infrastructure, it's simple. You can clone it again and again and again and replicate the process. Not too difficult. And then everything can be outsourced. All the content, all the link building. Remember, at the beginning I said there's no media buys. This is all free traffic, all SEO. Now free, that might be a little misleading. We still do have to pay for our content. We do have to pay for our link building. But the fee is minimal compared to the amount of money that's been generated from this. I mean, we're talking less than, 3% of the total income that I've generated from this has actually gone into the link building and the content creation of this, which is all outsourced. I have had to do I've chosen to do a couple pieces of it, so I will say that. But for the most part, it's all been outsourced. Let's talk about the meat, because without this, you're really not going to go anywhere with this. The site that you're going to build has to be in a mass market, and by that I mean it needs to deal with health, real estate, relationships, or dating, stock, options, or trading, or biz op. The whole thing about going into tiny little niche markets that have 300 searches per month, that this system is not going to work with something like that. You can be niche within a niche and cover dozens of niches within one of these hybrid sites, but you can't focus on something so tiny that you're not going to get any search volume, thus no sales. You have to be in a big market, and within that site you're creating basically, some people might want to call these authority sites. I call them hybrid sites. Yes, they are authoritative sites, but We all may have a little different definition of what the term authority means. Hybrid, I think, is a much better way of describing what we're getting into with this particular system. More criteria. Well, there has to be products being sold in that market. This is common sense stuff, but it does have to be said. So there has to be products being sold in that market, and the more, the better. Product owners must be advertising in that market, and the more the better. Here's a little tip, and really the first lesson, and I didn't write this down. We're going to be, I like to use the word jacking. We're going to be jacking product names. We're going to be taking some of their traffic. So the more advertising they're doing, the more visibility they have, the more we're able to actually jump in front of an audience for search terms that are actually happening. So if there's no advertising taking place, then nobody's looking for that product. And if nobody's looking for the product, well, we're not going to get any searches for that product. So again, this is a bit of common sense, but it does have to be said. And then people need, I bet I should have probably put in here, people should be talking about the subject on a regular basis. Now this, is news, buzzworthy type material. If you go into Google News, you type in, your primary market or your keyword that you're looking for, and anything comes up, then it's newsworthy. If there's, authoritative websites on the subject, then it's newsworthy. Those are all resources that we can take advantage of later on in this system. Let's talk about the system. This is it in a nutshell, folks. With this one slide, you have what you need to know. So it's a hybrid review site. So we're going to be creating reviews of products. We're going to be creating curated content, which we'll get into exactly how to use all of these in just a few moments and exactly what to do. We're going to be using video content. We're going to be taking advantage of video sitemaps and things like that. We're going to use personalized how-to content. Either you can create this or you can hire somebody else to create it. But this is the four-prong approach. Very, very important. You can have just a review site. You can have just a curated content site. You can have just a video site, or you can have just a how-to content site. But the way that this is done combines all four very strategically to where they all build upon each other, and we'll get into that. So you'll be excited to see what happens here in just a moment. Let's talk about the how-to content and why it's important, and specifically, let's talk about what you need to know about it. Well, the how-to content, the article length really doesn't matter. It needs to be image-rich, and it needs to be step-by-step. That's a plus, but step-by-step is easy for people to follow. It's useful. It's consumable. People will read it, they'll use it, they'll consume it, and they'll reference back to it, and oftentimes tell others about it. So that's why that's important, and because of that, it becomes newsworthy or buzzworthy. Reviews. These are the money sites. These are the money pages, I should say. This is where you are going to make your money on the site. So be very, very careful about how this is done. And obviously it's all laid out in front of you on the side, but they must be 1,000 to 1,500 words. Shorter reviews usually don't work as well, and longer reviews are hard to consume, so those usually don't work so well. The sweet spot that I have found after testing upon testing upon testing is about 1,000 to 1,500 words. It has to explain what the product is and why someone would need or want it. I'm amazed at how many reviews are out there. They just jump straight into the review without telling people what the product really is and why they need it. That should be the beginning of every review. Then you should show features and benefits, which I think is an obvious. So if it's a supplement, well, what's the supplement used for? Talk about the pros. Here's a critical factor that most people forget about. Show the downside. Nothing is perfect, and everybody knows that. So you need to highlight that, and it adds, and it truly does create a level of believability that most other reviews simply don't have. And then this again is as obvious. You have to tell people how to buy it. You have to give them a clear path to buy. So give people an opportunity to buy that product. Curation. This, again, extensive testing has gone into this. 600 to 1,000 words is optimal. Story-based with multiple references. The old level, the old style of curating just doesn't cut it anymore. In that style of curating, people would just go find a snippet of something. They would post it, maybe put an intro and an outro in that one little snippet and call it a day. That doesn't cut it anymore. Curated content today needs to be an article in and of itself. that is supplemented by citations. So you have to be able to reference other material to back up your position. It's an effective skill to know, and it's very important to understand that. And you need to have a catchy title. This is what's really going to drive the buzzworthiness of that. Boring titles just don't do anything. They don't get shared. They don't get passed around. Nobody talks about them. So keep it buzzworthy. Keep it catchy, and then obviously use direct links to source. Video content. This is original content augmented by YouTube videos. 150 to 1,000 words in the content. How-tos work best. Everybody likes how-to information. And especially they like how-to information in the form of a video. And then this is where we're going to take advantage of the video sitemap. I talked about this just a few moments ago. Video sitemaps allow videos to show up in Google with a video thumbnail image, and those oftentimes rank well on their own and get higher click-throughs because of the image associated with them. So by all means, take advantage of the video sitemap. There's tons of them out there. You can find several in the WordPress repository. Use video sitemaps. So there you go. And then, those are the four types. Those are the four types of content. This is really where the rubber hits the road. List building is key. Let me tell you about the primary locations after extensive testing for your list building efforts. Below the content, obviously if somebody consumes your content, they're going to be much more likely to opt in, give you their information if they enjoyed your content and your bribe, whatever that bribe may be, is of interest to them. So that is going to have the highest opt-in rate in my opinion. On a dedicated page, this can be a welcome gate at the front of your site. Somebody sees that welcome gate one time. It could be there. It could be a dedicated internal page, but it needs to be a dedicated page to your opt-in. This gives you the ability to say more on a page and then obviously redirect people, or direct people, I should say, to those pages so they opt in. And then lightboxes. Despite the fact that these can be quite annoying, and I will be the first to admit that I very much dislike to see lightboxes, list building is our focus here. It's one of our primary focuses, so we do want to capture the leads, and by doing so, light boxes are effective, so don't forget about those. Follow-up is essential. As you determine the pages that make you the most money, you will begin to follow up via email and recycle traffic back to those pages. Boom, there you go. These pages that generate the leads will often be your curated pages. Those are the pages that will actually create your most of your leads. And then those leads will be recycled back to your review money pages. So as you begin to identify which pages are making you the most money, will then dictate how your follow-up sequences are structured and restructured. Everything's organic in these systems. You don't just create it and then walk away from it. It's organic. So as certain pages make you more money over time, those are the ones that are going to get the bulk of your recycled traffic. Promotion. Understanding where your traffic is coming from really is key. You need to know where your traffic's coming from, and you need to know what pages they're going to. Knowing that gives you the ability to restructure your linking campaign on a continual basis to give more power to the pages that actually produce income for you. Link building. What is important in link building today? Well, there's 1,001 courses being sold today on how to do link building, and I will tell you, some people call me an SEO expert. Some people say I innovate much in SEO. I will tell you, here's what it really boils down to. Press releases still work absolute wonders when it comes to link building and passing authoritative juice onto the specific pages on your site. And it makes it really easy, or easier, I should say, to brand jack, which is kind of what we're doing with the review pages. Tiered linking. Very, very rarely, especially if a site is new, am I going to link directly to the site. I'm going to create a site of buffer sites, if you will, a layer of sites, and then I'm going to link to those sites. Then, of course, that layer that we created is going to link back to our site. So we're going to build up more of the power, more of the juice, more of the, the greatness to that layer of sites. That very few of those will link back to our sites. And then, of course, it will be very structured in the way that those link back to our site, in that they will be directed to our home page. We're still going to need a bulk of our links going to our homepage, maybe 30 to 50%. And then our internal pages with our primary money pages being the main focuses, the main focus of our linking campaign. And then adjust those that often based on data. And here's the big one. Begin with a slow promotion and build up gradually over time. Momentum is key. Don't just start with a mass blast of links coming into your site. Get a couple links into your site after about a month. Start building that momentum, and as it increases over time, maybe about the 6-month mark, you can have a fairly aggressive linking campaign if done right in the beginning to that site. The mojo. If I could stress one thing to you, that's to know your data. What keywords are being searched for and how often, this is what will dictate your future linking. So if one particular money page has 32 keywords, they're all ranking for that particular money page, but you've only, your initial link building campaign only has maybe 1 or 2 of those keywords, then expand your linking campaign out to include all 32 of those words. If a keyword is actually being searched for in Google and you're not optimized for that term, and it doesn't necessarily make sense to optimize on page for that term, well, you can at least optimize via your linking campaign to that term. Okay, now what's not important in this model? Because I think that this is just as important as knowing what is important in the model, and that's Facebook fan pages. For this model, they just don't really matter. Media buys, that's one of our key primary drivers for this whole thing, is we don't need to do media buys. You don't need to be a guru or a celebrity. Nobody needs to know who you are. Heck, for all I care, you can use fake names on your review sites, and nobody really cares. You don't have to travel. Man, one thing about being a celebrity or a guru is you've got to get on a plane, you've got to get in a car, you've got to go different places, and you got to talk to a lot of people. The reality is that many of us just aren't really cut out for that. That's why we're working online to begin with. Many of us just don't want to do that. So you don't have to with this model. Then you don't have to get on radio or TV. I remember, gosh, it must have been 4 or 5 years ago. I did a whole series of interviews on radio and a couple TV spots, and man, talk about stressful. You get on TV, and despite whether or not you enjoy this activity, you gotta have makeup put on. You get on the radio, you're right in the middle of a great thought, so you're talking, you're really excited, and you're just talking. Then all of a sudden, the host tells, "Oh, we got to take a break." 5-10 minutes later, they come back and try to pick up where things left off, and it's a true skill to pick up with that energy right where you left off. So you don't have to deal with any of that with this model. And remember, all of this can be built in a day and outsourced. You do not need to overthink this. And I would say that if you do overthink it, step back and go through this presentation again, because you just don't need to. I suggest that you simply set aside a day and implement it. Don't think about anything else, just do it. Now what if, these are what ifs, you don't have the time to implement this, or you don't have the confidence to implement this, or you don't feel like you have the right connections or resources to implement this, or you're just unsure about the markets or you're on the fence about what products to promote. What if any of those are true for you? Well, then you can always hire me. Look, I've generated $60,455.70 plus in the last 4 months alone with this model. Now, I have to say this, results are not typical. Some may do better, some may do worse. But that is what I have done, as shown to you in the proof. And this is all generated with one site. I have a couple sites, but this income is generated with one site. And while results may vary, I have more hits than misses. And you're going to realize that some of them are successes for you and some of them may not be. But more often than not, you're going to have a hit with this model because it's so simple and follows just every common sense rule there is. Now, if you want to hire me, it's a very reasonable price of just $20,000, and I can only take on 2 projects at a time. It's been quite some time since I've taken on a new one. So here I am. I am here for you. So this is a big opportunity. If you want success and you want me and my team doing this for you specifically, well, now you have that available to you. All you need to do is just call my Google Voice line at 281-891-3826 and leave me your number. I'll call you back. and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about how to move forward with this for you. Answer any questions, but please, the only thing that I ask is be serious. If you're going to hire me, or you're going to call my number and speak to me about this, be very serious in that you're ready to send me that $20,000. That I'm happy to answer questions, but I don't want to waste my time or yours just answering a bunch of questions. Or, and here's the other option, if 20,000 is simply too much at this point in time for you to hire me personally, then you can always join my mastermind and have access to me for questions and answers. Now let's talk about what you get in the mastermind. Well, you get a private Facebook group access, a very active group, mind you. I'm in there daily, as well as many of the other members. Weekly accountability webinar. These take place on Tuesday. They alternate between 10 a.m. Central Standard Time and 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We record them all. We've had a couple where the recordings didn't turn out, so those aren't in the members area, but the recordings of all of the other ones are in the members area. There's over 12 hours of content at this point. And then, of course, we have training on SEO, Facebook, lead gen, and much more in the members area. Probably a good 15 to 20 hours of training alone. It's just an amazing group. And I, despite the fact that I've just offered you access to my mastermind group, which, mind you, we haven't allowed anyone in since January of this year. I'll get on the phone with you for 1 hour and give you the resources that I personally use for building these hybrid review sites. This is my personal Rolodex. These are the people that I use when I build one of these sites. That alone's worth the price of this. It's worth a bundle. Now imagine not having to build your own team, teach anyone anything. Just pay the company that I recommend and walk away. I don't make a penny off these guys. These are the guys that I use. And you join my mastermind, I'll give you these same resources. And I'll also answer any and all questions you have about this model on the call. So if after going through this presentation you realize that there's some holes that you need more answers to, that you want filled, you need answers to them, well, guess what? I will answer all of them on that call. So come prepared with questions. And once you are an insider, I just don't hold anything back. Everybody in the group knows that, especially on the weekly accountability calls, sometimes we stray away from accountability and talk training. I really start training you. My partner and I just start talking about just all sorts of stuff. And if there's something out there, I just don't hold back. I don't believe in holding back to a group of people that are like-minded like me. And we can all boost each other to another level. So there's nothing being held back there. And lastly, we'll talk about your goals and we'll establish a plan for you to achieve those goals. Having a roadmap sure makes reaching the destination so much easier. Imagine trying to drive from New York City to Los Angeles without a map, and you were just going on your gut instincts. Well, there's a good chance you might take a wrong turn or two. But if you had a very clear map in front of you and you knew exactly what roads to take, not only are you going to know specifically how to get there, but you're going to also be able to figure out how long it's going to take you to get there. And I'll help you with that. So how much is this? Well, obviously it's not going to cost you $15,000 or $20,000. It's just $3,000 one time. And mind you, I haven't let anybody in since January. We're only letting in the first 3 people to take advantage of this. There's a couple things you need to know. I said it's $3,000 one time. There's no monthly continuity, so once that $3,000 is paid, you don't ever have to pay anything again. There's no upsells. I'm not going to try to upsell you to a $50,000 coaching program or anything like that. It's just $3,000, and there's no crazy obligations. You're not, if you can't make it Tuesday, we're not going to banish you from the group or anything like that. You make the calls that you can make. You participate as time allows, and if you have something cool to share, share it. If you just want to sit back, watch what we're doing, take advantage of the information that we share, that's fine too. And this is a big one. This is a mastermind group. This is not a training program per se, and this is not the shiny object of the day. This is a mastermind. This is a true think tank where we all share and participate and give each other real intellectual property. So there's no refunds. I only want those who can wear the big boy pants. I don't want whiners, refunders, or negative Nellies allowed. So if you can identify, if you're self-aware enough to realize that that's you, then go ahead and shut off this video. This is not an opportunity for you. If you are a big boy or a big girl in many cases, and you're not a habitual refunder, you don't complain about every little thing that happens, you're able to suck it up, move on, adapt and overcome, and persevere and prosper. Well, that's my type of person. That's who I want in this group. If that's you, then please, please be a part of this, because I love to surround myself with like-minded people. So let's talk about how to pay. There's a form below this video. Simply enter your PayPal address and I will send you an invoice. The invoice needs to be paid within 24 hours. It's a first come, first served. If you were not one of the first 3 to secure your spot, then I'll simply add you to the waiting list. There's a good chance that in June or July of this year, maybe even August, I'll open up another 3 spots, depending on how much activity has taken place in the group and really what our needs are at the time. And when that time occurs, if you're on the waiting list, well, you'll be the first person I tell about it. And if there's any changes to the group or whatever, I'll let you know about it then, and you can reevaluate if you want to join. But the reality is that we are only allowing the first 3 people to respond. So if everything that I've talked about sounds like a good opportunity, then by all means, join. If you have additional questions, that's not a problem. Remember, it's first come, first serve, but if you do have questions, no problem. I'm happy to jump on the phone or, just go back and forth via email with you until everything's been answered. Any questions that you might have been answered. I think I've done a fairly decent job of explaining this all, but you know what? I may not have. So if you have questions and you want to jump on the phone or you want to email me some questions, again, the number is 281-891-3826. And just say you have mastermind questions. Otherwise, I'm going to think that you want to hire me to do the project for you. So make sure you start this conversation off with, hey, I've got a mastermind question. Please email me at, whatever your email address is. Be very, very clear and spell out anything that may be difficult for me to understand. One thing about being from Texas and partially deaf, sometimes it's difficult to understand people that mumble or speak quietly. So be as clear as possible. I would truly appreciate that. Or just leave me your telephone number and I'll call you back. You generally get back to everybody within 24 hours unless my schedule is just absolutely insane. But as a rule of thumb, I like to let everybody know that within 24 hours I'll get back to you. So now you have something sitting in front of you that's a very rare opportunity. It's a very limited opportunity, and it's your chance to be a part of something great with like-minded people. Go ahead and put your PayPal email address in the form below. I'll send you an invoice, and the first 3 that secure it are in. Otherwise, you'll be on a waiting list, and I look forward to talking to you very soon. Take care.